Hi, I'm Meredith and welcome to my channel. I love all things luxury. I love luxury shoes, I love luxury handbags, and if they things that appeal to...
Excuse me.
Yes?
Over.
Oh, all right then. Yes.
Seriously, you let them in your house and this is what happens.
Hi Meredith.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi everyone. I'm Meredith and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so excited that you found me, and if you're returning, I'm so grateful you've decided to come back and watch more. Can I introduce you to my fabulous sales associate, Peter, at Louis Vuitton? We actually have 4 sales associates in the house this evening, but they have collectively decided that Peter will be the mouthpiece for this evening.
I'm the spokesperson. I'm inside Jeannie's lamp. It's an honour to finally be in Lady Lux's wardrobe. It's a feast for the eyes. So yeah, the 4 of us have had a wonderful afternoon. We're full of cheese and charcuterie, but very excited to be answering your questions.
Yes. So we have workshopped the questions and now we've decided to film just Peter and I, rather than having a whole heap of swap out and people like needing to get changed and whatever. We're just going to run it like this. So I'm going to ask Peter all the questions that you guys asked me and he will answer to the best of his abilities. Some of them were rude, so we will take that with a grain of salt. And then we might do a lightning round right at the end where I've got a few that are just yeses and nos. So, all right, let's kick off with the ones that people want to know most. So, Peter, what is the spend level to be considered a VIC, and is it looked at a yearly spend or a lifetime spend?
It's yearly, and it also depends on what category you buy from. So low-hanging fruit in terms of how you can easily be considered VIC is in ready-to-wear or high-end categories. So it would be like your trunks, your high jewellery, your exotic bags.
Yeah, and that's specific to Louis Vuitton. You've worked previously for other brands. Are they similar in their structure in terms of how they look at their VIPs?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for Hugo Boss, Gucci, and Ermenegildo Zegna. Obviously, Zegna is suiting and leather goods, and they've evolved more from the time when I first started there. But as we know, LV, in terms of their category offering in the world of luxury, are far and away the biggest. So, but yeah, again, I think that's a great way to actually overarch this conversation today. Do consider categories in terms of what you're purchasing. If you're a lover of canvas, that's great. But in terms of how Louis Vuitton will pay more consideration towards you, it is those exceptional categories as well.
And is it possible to get invited to events even if you're not a VIP?
Absolutely. Like anything in life, if you have a wonderful relationship with a person, you have a natural affinity to want to be able to engage that person as well. As someone who has done this for quite some time, you also can see the potential in a person. It doesn't necessarily need to be about money. It helps, of course, but do we want to engage in people that we love and we want to spend time with? Yes, of course we do. Money is the overarching consideration that comes into it, but those things can change and evolve as people's careers grow. We want to grow those relationships with you as well.
Yeah. So then when they're saying, how do I get invited to events? I'm going to guess it's like, be a nice person and build an actual relationship with the sales associate. But I would also think there'd be an element of expressing that you would like to go to events or expressing interest in certain collections that are coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Louis Vuitton is forever evolving as a brand, and it's forever changing. Unlike Valentino or Hermes is a great example, a Birkin is a Birkin. There's only so much you can propose as a Hermes CA, whereas with LV there's so much of an element of unpredictability. So Nicolas Gasquier's collections can be completely different from one to another. So if you and I were to attend a show, for example, it could be a triumph and you'd be like, Peter, I love it all. I want all of that collection. Whereas the next collection, as we know, for those that do follow Gasquier and his collections, can be completely different. So there can be Russian roulette involved in that. But back to your question in regards to being invited and being engaged with Louis Vuitton, it also depends in which country you live in. If you're in Paris and you are shopping in the Vendôme store, the possibility of what events would take place, for example, Cheval Blanc, that is the peak, the apex of what we do in Louis Vuitton. Whereas if you're in a smaller country like Auckland in New Zealand, the events that they would hold, there are more of an opportunity for you to be attending an event because the spend level you're up against versus different clients, there's going to be less of a pool of clients versus how much they're spending. So it's a forever moving target.
Yeah, so Cheval Blanc was what Dale and I got to go to while we were in Paris last year, but that was done on the fly because we'd been invited to Anya, and then lady of the house at Anya then said, you should do this, and we went, great, no problem. So that was fortuitous. It wasn't something that was 100%. Set up for us, but it was an amazing event to be invited to.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. Is there opportunity, is there possibility for us to say, please come, you're here, you're all the way from Australia, we'd love for you to come and experience Cheval Blanc? Yes. So is there an element of fortune or good luck? Yeah, I guess there would be.
Yeah. How do you choose who to provide free samples to, like perfumes and things?
Anyone, like anything in life, if you find you experience a store that are a bit more stringent or strict with handing out samples, I would imagine department stores would be more strict with such things. I work in a flagship store, so we're quite liberal with handing out samples. My view is the more you give out, the more opportunity there is to experience and the more opportunity there is for us to sell. But yeah, I would imagine if you have experienced as a client some stringency or restrictions to people or CAs giving out those perfume samples, that's possibly the reason why. But in my store, I'm quite liberal with them.
Yeah, but then you have to have the stock to give out as well, because you and I have had conversations before. I'm like, oh, I really want to try the new one. You're like, I haven't come in yet. We don't have any. It's like, so sometimes when they're telling you no, the answer is not about you. It's because they literally don't have them there.
Yeah, well said. Ombre Nomad is always the one that's consistently out, because we consistently have people wanting to come in and grab a sample for their travels. And of course, if Meredith comes and says, hey, Peter, I'm going to New York, would you mind giving me some samples? I'm like, of course, like take some. But the most popular ones, much like a canvas bag or any categories that are hot ticket items, a free sample can be sometimes difficult to get as well.
Yes, he's my perfume mule for travel. Is VIP status based only on spend?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, no. We have clients of the house that may not have spent for many years, but in terms of who they are as people, we want to engage them. We want to invite them to events because we love them. They're well known to our store directors, our zone presidents, or any tier of seniority. But it doesn't always necessarily boil down to spend, no.
Yeah. And how much say do you have in who's a VIP?
None. But do I have an influence in terms of what client to put forward based on the relationship we believe that we can build? Yes, I do. As the men's ready-to-wear expert, it's my role to encourage those relationships to blossom, not only with the CA, but also our head office people, which there is a vetting process for that as well.
Yeah. But you can have say in things like, so I got invited to a men's event and predominantly what I buy is women's handbags, although I do have the P9 Speedies. But you would have saying, listen, she's spending here or she has an interest here. I can see how this collection from Pharrell might appeal to her. So we want to invite her to the event so we get her in the door here as well.
100%. It's sadly there's only so many tickets for certain events. Fashion show, I think, is for the purpose of this conversation is where I'd want to steer the conversation. So for Australia, we generally would only have about 10 to 15 seats, and generally there is very limited amount of clients that can attend a fashion show. Depending on the size of show, by and large, it's about 2,000 seats. So, and of those occupied by clients, that can be a moving target as well. But if I had to guess, I don't know, it'd be about 200 to 300 clients that would be able to be seated. So you can do the math on that based on who the client is, what they're going to spend, what will be on offer, and is it worth Louis Vuitton's time, and more importantly the client's time, to attend such an event? Not all events are for all clients. Whilst we all want to attend everything and be of course invited to the table, it's important to remember that that event might not be for you, and it is meticulously considered as to when is the right time to engage a client with a VIP event.
Yes, I have not been to a show yet.
Yet.
All right, let's do some quick and easy ones.
Sure.
So what's the most special piece you've ever sold?
Ooh, special for me is when there is true emotion behind it. It can be a key clay, and if it's your first Louis Vuitton piece, that brings me just as much joy as it would being your first piece. But something that I think stands out is really the emotion. It's not necessarily a specific piece. If we're talking dollar value, I'm fortunate enough to sell some high jewelry pieces, some high watch pieces, some really exceptional exotic pieces. But truly it's the emotion. We are just as excited as you are for your first piece, or a piece that may not be considered as an exceptional high-end price point. That emotion is what I do it. It's for the people. That's why I do what I do, I think.
Yeah. What's the most requested item in store?
Still presently, it's the Carry-All PM.
Really?
Yep. Still Carry-All PM. Yeah.
I would have gone with the pochette accessoire, which is a known one to always be out of stock because everybody wants one.
Yeah,
or a mini pochette.
Mini pochette. I think most people these days are pretty clued in to when it's not available, when we no longer make it, or we retire it. But product that's still available, that's still made and still able to order. There was a time in 2019. It was, I think, was it the? I'm forgetting which bag it was. The multi-pochette accessoire.
Yes.
So when we first did that and Justin Timberlake was wearing it, you couldn't get it. We were waitlisting everything because there was more coming, but the build up to that and the desire for people to own such a practical and well-designed multifunctional bag, it just blew everything out of proportion, and we couldn't keep up with the demand. So that's probably something that stands out, I think.
Yeah. What does your commission structure look like?
It can vary on what category we sell. That's pretty much all I can answer on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. From what I understand, you need a whiteboard and you need a mind map and you need 3 days to understand, and then it doesn't apply to each client evenly anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's springs and roundabouts of commission, so it's not a simple answer that everybody thinks it is. I know there's lots of rumors on the internet, especially with Hermes, where it's like, oh, if you buy from this category, that 5%, if you get from that category, it's 10%. And that might be how Hermes works, but that is also a very good chance that it's not how it works, and it would be specific to each client based on spend and a whole heap of other things.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a clean question anyway.
No, it's a tough one to answer.
Yeah. What brand do you love outside of the ones you work for?
Brand. I would predate the ones that are current with their current designers. So standout would have to be Lee McQueen for Alexander McQueen, John Galliano for Dior, so early 2000s. I love Alexis Bittar. I love Schiaparelli. I love Robert Woon. I'm really a big fan of clothes, hence my title. But those couture houses that I see really swinging the pendulum back towards what I dub as true couture, but Robert Woon is the one that I'm really paying attention to. His Four Seasons collection. Are you familiar with that one? We'll talk about that after this. But he did a collection with Four Seasons, which was just breathtakingly beautiful to look at. What's yours? That's a good question.
Outside of Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, that's a better question.
What's my favorite brand? Well, see, I tend to stick with the main houses, but from the last lot of runways, I very much liked Dior. I thought it was way out there. I really loved Zimmermann, which surprised me how much I love Zimmermann, because I can afford lots of Zimmermann already, where I was like, I'm going to own all of that. But yeah, who else did we talk about at the time? There were a few that we really liked the runways of. So yeah.
You dressed for New York or Australia. happen by
I
default.
did,
It wasn't.
yes. It was an
intentional.
accident. No,
Yeah.
it was a complete accident. So yeah, but Zimmerman's definitely come a long way. So I'm excited by them, and they're obtainable for a lot of people. So that's great.
Yeah.
Why do sales associates often have a bad attitude?
We're human. We can have bad days. Whilst it is, of course, our job to turn it on. I always say that I'm on a stage when I'm in front of a client. But sometimes, we are indeed having a bad day, and it is important to remember that. If you are if you are feeling you're depreciated from your experience from the first time, if it is indeed, as I use the example, your first time you're buying a key clay and the CA is huffy that they're not going to make money from it, I guess try and be more engaging, be more real, I suppose. If you're being clinical and you think you have to go into a luxury house and be a version of yourself, please don't do that. It's most important to remember that we are people, and those genuine connections, Exhibit A, are the ones that are most valuable as well.
Yeah. And everybody has bad days, and is it a bad attitude, or are you just perceiving it as a bad attitude?
Yeah, good answer.
Is it easy to move between brands in the luxury space? Now you have. Was that an easy move for you, or do you think it's probably an easier move now that you are further up in your career?
Yeah, the latter. In Sydney, it's a very incestuous small pool of people that have the skill set that I'm proud to have. I would assume in bigger countries it may be somewhat more challenging, but the short answer, no, it's not. If you have a passion for luxury, and if you can demonstrate you have exceptional luxury skills, businesses these days, particularly in more recent times, will hire people based on their client service abilities. So you don't have to have a luxury job to get a luxury job. Luxury houses are looking outside of the box more now. They're looking at hiring from hotels, from hospitality roles. So don't think, oh, I can't ever work in luxury, I'm not the right type of person. I think luxury houses are much more dynamic now in terms of who they would consider for hiring as well.
Yeah. Couldn't work for Louis Vuitton. Who would you like to work for?
Okay, if the rumours are true, if Galliano goes to Givenchy, I love him so much despite his controversy. I would seriously consider jumping ship to work for a time under his leadership. Again, I love John Galliano. I think as a designer he is a genius, but presently, since that's a fantasy presently, no one. I'm very, very happy with LV. They're a brilliant company to work for.
And I'm really happy about that, because I'm about to leave me. I've been left too many times.
There's 3 of them outside.
There's 3 of them outside. Which bags are hard to sell?
Which bags are hard to sell?
Exotics? Just because of price point?
Yeah, I mean, people I think love exotics or don't. I don't actually, exotics are easy. If you have an exotic in mind, you know good and goddamn well which one you want, which color you want. Particularly Vietnam comes to mind. A lot of Vietnamese and Cambodian cultures love an exotic, and they'll walk in and take anything that's available. So no, I wouldn't say exotics are hard to sell. I would say Horizon, actually, because people don't perceive the practical nature of a Horizon 55, but they're one of my all-time favourite bags, and I think that's a question in the future, so we're shorthanding. But yeah, I would say Horizon. I think people don't buy bags so much these days for practical purposes, and I'm a very, very practical person, but yeah, that would probably, I'd say, the hardest to sell. Yeah.
Go with the luggage, people. The luggage is good.
Yes. It's our history.
Yes. What was the first bag you ever purchased, luxury bag you ever purchased?
First bag I ever purchased, it was Gucci, and it was a black Solarius leather pouch, and I've had it for, 10, 15 years, and I use it all the time. It's my go-to travel bag. I chuck everything in it. For those that have Solarius leather, you know how durable and sturdy it is. My very, very first piece was, and I regret it still to this day, was a beautiful green croc card holder from Gucci. It was a farewell present from my previous employers, Hugo Boss. And I exchanged it just for a standard black leather one because I'm like, I'm never going to use this. But at the time, it was like outrageously cheap. Like now it would be like 5,000 minimum. But I think it was 285 when I first started at Gucci.
Oh,
so
please.
yeah, I know, outrageous. But yeah, that story comes to mind now. But
All right. So, do you get access to special or new release items before clients?
yes, I am still technically a client, and if I chose to, and to be clear, I would be paying full price for it. There are very stringent rules, especially around how we are to purchase. But if, for example, I wanted to purchase the Pharrell collection that came into the building, technically, do I have access to it first? Yes, I would. And if I wish to pay full price for it, I would. And I have done. So, yes.
I imagine there are very stringent rules then around reselling.
Absolutely, there is. It's a hard no. It would cost me my job to resell. To be blunt, yeah.
Yes.
But again, technically, am I a client? If of course I would prioritize. If you said to me, Peter, there's a pair of sunglasses I bought from Virgil, and if they were the only pair, and you said to me, Peter, I want them, of course I would prioritize you. But that was an example where a pair of sunglasses came in from Virgil, and I'm like, I have to have these. I paid full price, and it was done. Yeah.
But you love them.
Yes, I love them. Yeah, I love them as much as you guys do. Don't worry.
Can you tell a customer from a reseller?
Yes, there are very explicit questions. Generally, they'll have the photo on their phone ready to go. They are disengaged, I suppose. But yeah, the short answer, yes, I think. Yeah.
Do you categorize resellers and like personal shoppers as the same thing, or are they a little bit different?
They are different. It depends case per case based on the relationship. A stylist or any title you wish to give them, personal shopper. Maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but it's not my business as to what, I mean, you buy, it's up to you. It's your product. I can't tell you what to do with what you've just purchased. If you choose to sell it, and you do from time to time, that's none of my business.
Yeah.
So, do I need to be conscious about how to handle those clients? No, if it's obvious that they're a reseller, we unfortunately need to be mindful on how to address that situation. But other than that, I'm never going to tell you what to do with your pieces. That's none of my business, I guess.
Yeah. And there's also a certain aspect of like, especially when it's not bags and it's sizing, shoe sizes and clothing sizes can change. So you're not going to force someone to like, oh no, you shouldn't have sold that, but it doesn't fit me anymore. Like that kind of stuff.
It's important to remember that how resellers are engaged are case per case in countries as well. So what I've just answered may not apply to the country that you're shopping in as well, guys, okay? Yeah.
What are the benefits for working for a luxury brand?
Lots. Lots. I'm fortunate enough to travel. Yeah. Relationships like this, friendships like this. In my role, I'm fortunate enough to really start to travel. I think that's one of the biggest benefits. I get to see and experience things that only having a role like this allow. COVID sadly slowed up a lot of that travel, but I'm resuming my regularly scheduled program. I'm very excited for 2025. Hint, hint. But yeah.
Oh God, they're all going to subscribe to see where I'm going in 2025.
No, but I think it's those money can't buy experiences. I weep tears of joy every time I'm lucky enough to have seen a show. I think I've seen 6 now. I am just as excited as the client when they are viewing a piece for the first time. My heart pumps as much joy and passion as it would for you, even though it's technically not mine. It brings me just as much joy to see those experiences.
Yes, Peter likes it when I unbox things and I haven't seen them before, and then it makes me cry.
Yes.
He enjoys those unboxings because
I cry too.
Because he does watch my videos.
Yes.
And if anyone's interested, he's always linked in my description box down below. Go follow him over on Instagram. What do you think LV should produce more of?
Wow, homewares, I think, is the obvious answer to that question. We nixed the candles, and I'm not too sure as to why. We stopped making those beautiful ceramic candles, but I think there's lots of opportunity for a broader range of entry-level homewares. So, as for those that are more aficionados of Louis Vuitton, will be familiar with our Objet Nomade or L'Extraordinaire collections, and there are the most incredible collections designed by Atelier Oy. I won't go into those details too much, but yeah, I feel that there could be more everyday homeware pieces, bathrobes, pajamas,
that'd be great.
towels, more usable, I don't know, travel, where's the Diet Coke one? Things like that. Maybe it could be a bit too kitschy for Louis Vuitton to do, but yeah, I feel there's definitely room for those type of things in LV as well.
Well, I love my Versace
There we go.
bathrobe, so yes, one in monogram would be fab, thanks. So this question is, do you depend on walk-in clients or your client books? Now, I think that would be answered differently by somebody who isn't you.
Yes.
Yes.
So great way to sort of poise the question. There are days, of course, the world economy is not great at the moment, and I'm blessed to have a client book where I can spend pretty much the whole day and not require to serve on the floor. But for those days, and I have experienced those in the last few months, where I'm waiting for clients to come in, that can be tough. So it can be a bit of a mix between those two things, I suppose.
Yeah.
But walking clients can sometimes be your new greatest clients. Like any person that you meet, for me, again, it's all about that relationship. I can meet a new client that I've never wouldn't have any idea with their possibilities, their opportunity to spend, and they're my new favourite people. So it's good to keep yourself open, I think, is the answer to that question.
Yeah. What do you think the best buy for LV is?
Horizon. I love that bag. It's designed by an Australian, Mark Fewson. I wholeheartedly believe the design of that bag. I think it is a brilliantly designed piece. And of course, a keep-all.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with a keep-all. I never knew and appreciated the value of it until I used my husband's one. And I used it as just my carry-on. And then it clicked. I'm like, now I get why these are such practical, versatile bags as well.
Yeah, and they're also heritage, as I bang on about in my videos all the time. If you're going to spend money, spend it on the heritage pieces.
What's yours?
The most underrated or the best buy.
Yeah, either.
Well, it's still a keep-all because we had this discussion 10 minutes ago outside with everybody, and I said I still, even for the price that they currently are, I still believe that they're a great investment, and they're also part of the heritage. But I love Louis Vuitton heritage, so that makes sense. Also Speedy, because it's the heritage of the brand. So they're the ones, and obviously a Never Full, because I believe a Never Full will get you through so many different occasions in your life. And they're a great workhorse. So, yeah, and funnily enough, they're all canvas pieces. Yeah. So you can never go wrong with canvas. What gestures do you really appreciate from your clients?
Just thank you. No, sincerity. That sincerity and decisiveness. Oh, good God, that's the most efficient answer I can give. Indecision is a pet peeve of mine. So, sincerity, of course, goes a long, long way. You can be any type of personality, but if I can understand you and be able to be part of your cognition in what your decision-making process is, I am better at my job, and that makes me feel I am more of service to you. But yeah, just decisiveness, I think, would be my biggest appreciated personality trait, I think. But that's just me. I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn. I'm impatient. So yeah.
No, I like decisiveness also. Like, oh,
yes or no.
Even when we go to you go to lunch, you're like, just choose.
It's Diet Coke or Diet Coke. We both have a penchant for Diet Coke. Okay.
Yeah. Peter's the only other person I know who likes Diet Coke as much as I do. So yes. What's the best part of your job?
best part of my job, people. It's always circles back to people. A very close second is, again, the doors that are open for people like me. If you stick with it and work hard, like anything in life, you are rewarded. And of course, traveling to see the world as I have done is such a wonderful, and I'm very, very blessed for those opportunities. But people, of course, I get to become friends with people like you. I never would have met someone like you had it not been for my job.
Strangely enough, we do not move in the same circles. He's not hanging out at school pickup in the afternoons. No. Well, that leads into, do you consider clients to be friends? Because there's always a lot of contention in the YouTube world about you can't befriend your sales associate. And I always push back against that and go, but I have very good friends who are sales associates. And is that then a taboo thing and I shouldn't be doing? But then I feel like you find people you gel with wherever you find them. And if it happens to be a sales associate, why is that wrong?
I mean, it can be a challenge in terms of keeping work and personal separate, I suppose. But that, I guess, is all up to the relationship, I guess. I think that's the best way I can answer that question. Yeah,
I think you can't leverage your friendship against the person who works at the store. So I would be a bad friend if I leveraged our friendship to say to you, well, I want this, you have to make it happen because we're friends, Peter.
100%.
And it's also emotional blackmail to a point, but we're friends. You'll help me get this. Like, that would be a terrible thing to do as a friend. And does that make me a true friend, or does that just make me a client who's trying to leverage friendship? So I think you can do it, but you have to be able to compartmentalize the relationship, and you have to understand where the boundaries are with those two things as well. Now, I'm a very good compartmentalizer, so I'm fine with that. Yeah. But I can see how the lines could be blurred at times and why it might fall apart easily.
100%. I think when friends and it's the age-old adage, friends and money don't mix. And I think in the role that I do, that can become messy because there's an expectation of money, I suppose, and to keep those two things, I suppose, compartmentalized is necessary sometimes, but it also depends on who you are and who the CA is as well, I suppose. You and I are an exception. I think in terms of who we are as people, we respect each other, and that's probably the key word to take away from that question. Have a respect for your CA, but also have a respect of the relationship as well. If you feel and you are conscious of the fact that you are pushing the friendship, pun intended, then you're probably going to end up in a mess, I think. Yeah.
Most outrageous fake you've seen a client wear in store? And I'd like to point out they all had good stories for this. There were many a good story.
I won't tell the sad one, but I mean, it's many and varied. But the outrage comes from when someone is trying to pass a fake as something that's authentic, and the attitude that comes with it. That's when I'm the most entertained by it. When someone comes in with all bravado and is trying to make out that they have wealth or status, whichever label you want to give it, that always amuses me as well. There's nothing specific that stands out that's a happy story. There's a sad story, but shall I share the sad story?
Do the sad story.
Okay. So I remember there was a time when a grandson came in with his late grandfather's luggage collection, and he wanted, and there were about 8 pieces, and he wanted it to be repaired. And sadly, when it came time to send it off for repair, it was all not Louis Vuitton products. So yeah, the grandfather's legacy was sadly built on products that were not Louis Vuitton.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But there's more funny ones than good ones than sad ones. Yeah.
There were many a funny one. Yes. How often do you need to deal with fraud? So people trying to return bags that are fake or swap them for the real thing. Have you come across that?
Yeah, a bit. Thankfully, for the most part, my role, I'm not taking in repairs. But yeah, a business of our size, it's always going to happen. The fakes can be so good sometimes that they're almost impossible to tell. There is, of course, technology now that absolves that issue now. all our bags are chipped. So that now resolves that problem. If it's an older piece that doesn't have a chip, there are pretty obvious ways to tell in terms of fake.
Well, I have to admit, when we went to Fashion File in New York, they have 2 Louis Vuitton Speedies and 2 Chanel classic flat jumbos, and you have to pick the fake. I picked the fake for Chanel. I was wrong with the Louis Vuitton. I thought I had the Louis Vuitton one hands down.
Yeah. There's lots of things you can Google, guys, in terms of answers and how to spot something that isn't authentic. The most obvious one with Louis Vuitton is the finish on leather, or we will never cut through a Louis Vuitton. So you will never ever see a stitched line through the LV monogram. We will never cut through it. Okay, the blossom pattern, yes, but the LV, no. So that's my hot tip to you. But I'm not giving away trade secrets. That's very easily to be Googled as well. Yeah.
One of my favourite things about Peter's husband is that he counts. So he's got a whole measurement system. He counts via the LVs. So how many LVs across is it? And that's a whole form of measurement that is now used. It's language.
Yeah. So if we often dissect a fashion show and we'll try and figure out the size of a bag or something. But yeah, it was my husband Iv's tip to count the LVs. So 1, 2, because the pattern will always be the same for the most part in the classic canvas. So we'll be like, okay, how big is this bag? And we'll be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and there's the answer. So
if you're looking at a bag online, or if you're looking at something on a runway, or even if you're looking at something like Fashion File and you're like, oh, the measurements aren't doing it for me, count how many LVs there are and you've got a form of measurement, which I think is awesome. It's brilliant. He should really trademark that. Yes. Are the best customers the ones that spend the most amount of money?
No, not at all. Back to the story of the key clay and your first purchase. Again, I will have the most happiest memories of people that I may never see ever again. But if that connection is genuine and that experience is joyful and happy, then that can be much more valuable to me. I may only see that person once a year, or maybe every, the 18th birthday and 21st birthday. I don't care. Like, that is more valuable to me than money, that's for sure. I want to have a life where I'm ideally surrounded with people that I'm happy to see. Yes, it's a job, but I'm lucky enough to be able to spend, for the most part, with people like yourself.
Yeah.
What more could I ask for?
Well, it's like in any job. Like, yes, you can go to work wholly and solely for money and sell your soul every day for money, just to chase the money. Or you're someone who actually needs interaction and to enjoy your day. And money does not always equal enjoyment. Sometimes there are lots of people in this world who will spend an awful lot of money who are terrible to spend their time with. So, I don't think anybody can go to work just to chase money. I don't think it's good for the soul.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
So Dale, this is a question from Dale. Are you happy when people just want to browse, or would you prefer an appointment to buy? So she's someone who will make an appointment to go in and browse. Like, she goes in and she's very open about the fact, I'm not here to buy today. I'm just doing recon, and then she'll make an appointment to go in and buy. Is that something that makes your life easier? Or do you feel like that's wasting your time?
It's never a waste of time if you make your intentions known. So if Dale came into my store and she's like, it's a recon, and I acknowledge that she does not shop in my store, she's been open and upfront, she's been decisive, she's let me know her intentions, that's fine, of course. I'm there to serve us for all. Without the hope and promise that may be false, and you're removing that sort of concept, that's no problem. I'm not going to feel like I'm wasting my time, I suppose. I think that's the best way I can answer that question.
Yeah. Well, it's decisive. I'm here to look.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's totally fine. More than happy to take care of you and show pieces that you may be considering for 6 months' time. Okay, the best example of this is a wedding suit. So if I have a client to come in and they're like, hi, I'm shopping for a wedding. My first question is, when is the wedding? It's in a year's time. Okay, great. All these suits are seasonal. They won't be here in a year's time. Bags and a lot of categories in Louis Vuitton can be the same. So I will very actively give that information and say, if you love this suit now, please purchase it, bring it back to me in a year's time, and we can take care of the alterations. Part of the service for most Louis Vuitton stores globally. Same with seasonal bags as well. This bag is here. Do you want it? I'm a very genuine and honest person. Speedy P9, as an example. Where are you? There you are. I have one. You can order it now. Do you want it? Yes or no? Sometimes that is important to give that information, and that exchange of information between a client, if they say, I'm just browsing, is very, very valuable, because sometimes it can indeed change your, oh, I'm just browsing to, oh goodness, maybe I do actually need to jump on this when I can as well. Yeah. But it's important to take from that too. Don't feel pressured from that. Sometimes Louis Vuitton and most brands these days, perhaps you agree, it's a never-ending juggernaut of new season, new thing, limited edition. I don't like using the word limited edition in Louis Vuitton. Everything technically is limited edition. We only do one thing once a season, and then we won't do it again. So that colour, that colour will never be repeated again.
He also doesn't like the word no when he hears it. So like, if I want this and it's not available anymore and he gets a no from above, he doesn't like the no.
It's a no from you. So that
yes, I will find a yes. Does it annoy you when clients are super picky about quality? Now, that's something that drives me nuts. So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and it's like, do you think I should return this? And they've got like the close-up of something, and I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at. Like, what is this thing that you're talking about?
It's ultimately your decision. It's your money. And of course, it's not up to me to make that decision for you, but it's important to remember when things are made by hand, they're not going to be perfect. And of course, when things are made by hand, we would not, in some instances, redeem that as a fault in terms of how it's made. However, if it's not to the standard that you are prepared to give away or spend your hard-earned money, that is, of course, your choice. It's important to have that conversation, but please also understand that it's our job, is to the best of our ability, to have that conversation with you. If you're unhappy, make it be known. Don't feel like you have to be forced by the CA, if you are a passive personality type, to buy something and then have buyer's remorse. But also, it's important to remember when things are made by hand that they're not going to be absolutely perfect. Sometimes the imperfections are beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Which is why I like my Murakami pieces with the bleeding through them, because they were the original pieces.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you judge customers based on what they're wearing?
No. Some of the biggest sales I've ever had are shorts and slides, thongs in Australia, a ripped t-shirt. No, not at all. But I think as Australians, we don't necessarily judge by appearance. However, will we be actively scanning you for the big diamonds, the bag? Yeah, of course we are. But sometimes seeing the big diamonds in the bag means you ain't going to spend more money. We are, well, this is a bit arrogant, but am I experienced enough to know that's a brand new Birkin that you've just purchased? Is there an opportunity for you to spend more money? Probably not. Shopping bags are often dead giveaway. If it's 4 p.m. on a Saturday and you're carrying 8 other shopping bags, are there room enough for you to buy more with me? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Number one pet peeve with clients is obviously indecisiveness. Worst client behaviour.
Didn't happen in LV, but I'm reminded of where a family, the kid was peeing on the carpet and the family just watched it happen. Yeah.
Which just blows my mind. Like, what is happening in that family?
Yeah.
Ways to maintain a relationship with a sales associate if you can't come into store often.
Great question. COVID taught us many ways about how to diversify, how to communicate with people. As you all know, I have my Instagram, and you're all welcome to reach out to me if I'm able to assist. I have very good clients that, two, in fact, I've never met.
Really?
And yeah, they'll shop with me all digitally. I have no idea what they look like. I've spoken to them over the phone.
Yeah.
But their shopping has completely happened via WhatsApp.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's not dissimilar to you engaging with a online services client advisor.
Yeah.
It's in essence the same thing. And I guess selfishly, sometimes it's easier. If it's a matter of just messaging saying, hey, Peter, I want this bag. Do you have it? Yes, no. No, I can order it. I'll send it out to your address in a week's time, whenever it arrives, done. It's sometimes the fastest experiences in terms of client relationships.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike me, who you have to ring every Saturday morning, or else I don't know what it's Saturday here where we're taping this, and today was the first Saturday I haven't spoken to Peter in months, and I was so lost all day. But he's like, well, I'm going to see you later. I'm like, yes, but Saturday morning you ring me.
At 9:31 it crossed my mind, to be fair. So
that's how I start my weekends, with my coffee and my Peter.
I'm sorry.
Tips for going to a luxury store for the first time, behaviour and dress. Like, I would think just go.
You just go and be yourself. That's the most important thing. Authenticity, which seems to be an overarching theme for this conversation. Authenticity is the most important thing. And if you're fortunate enough, you find that CA that you can really make that authentic relationship. And that will go so much further and be more valuable to you, both emotionally and personally, I suppose. I guess in my case, if you're at the front of my mind, I'll use Meredith as an example, I don't even need to think about what a product is. They'll come in like, that's for Meredith. So that relationship is what sparks that memory. So if there is a genuineness to that relationship, that's, I think, the most valuable. But other than that, especially as Australians, I don't think we particularly care about how you dressed or how you look.
No.
Be yourself. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, Heath did, one of the other sales associates, Heath did say, when you go into this luxury store for the first time, do you research? Like, it makes life easier if you come prepared. So his analogy was, someone walks in and says, show me everything, all the bags you've got for under $1,000. Louis Vuitton probably only make one bag that's under $1,000. So if you just come with a little bit of knowledge, it makes life easier. Like, have an idea of what you want. I want a crossbody bag in canvas that does this, or I need it for this purpose, or I only have X amount of dollars to spend and I would like a bag that does X, Y, Z. And obviously then Peter or whoever the sales associate has all the knowledge of all the bags and can go, right, so I can bring you these ones and they fit that kind of description and price range that you're looking at. But if you go in with no idea, it makes it very hard.
Yeah, indecision.
Yes. Any tips for how to connect with a sales associate when traveling?
When traveling, okay, so if you're abroad and you're fortunate enough to travel abroad quite a bit, do take the time to exchange details. If there is something specific that you wish to have in store, perhaps when you're in New York, don't hesitate to reach out to that CA. That is our jobs, after all. We're only too happy to be able to be of service if you can give us some advance notice. I think that would be my best and really only tip in terms of how you engage. Does that help you answer the question?
I say use your network as well. So I've got a community of luxury YouTubers, obviously, and they've all traveled to different places than me. So like when we went to Paris, Dale and I, it was Amelia Rose who gave us her sales associate that she dealt with at Dior. So, and I've now got contacts in New York, having been to just been to New York, who was like, if you ever come back, here's my WhatsApp. So if someone said to me, have you got a sales associate in New York? I go, listen, I don't know them very well, but here's a number. You can reach out to them. So you can certainly use this luxury community on YouTube to try and find sales associates in other places as well. If you're coming to Australia, you've got one here in Louis Vuitton, and absolutely, we talk about them all the time. I talked about Dior at Bergdorf's and Opal, who served us there. Like, there's a contact for you. So you leverage your network as well.
Yeah. And by all means, reach out to me as well, guys. I'm tenured enough now to have a network of people that I could assist with if you are indeed traveling and want to make that appointment. Please feel free to reach out to me. Be patient. There is, of course, time differences, and it does take time to find someone to connect you with as well. But lastly, you can do all that on the website as well. You can go onto louisvuitton.com and make an appointment for any store you want in the world as well. Let the system do it for you. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
How extensive is the brand training at Louis Vuitton?
It's case per case. It depends on your title and what you do for the brand. In my case, as men's ready-to-wear expert, it's unrelenting. And also on a personal level, I have a never-ending thirst for knowledge in terms of Louis Vuitton. You could work for LV all your life and you still won't know everything about the brand. The company is that big. But that's also my natural affinity to want to learn as well. But on a entry level level, I suppose, as a CA, the training is quite extensive as well.
But you can't be across all things. So like Miguel, who's here with us as well, Miguel had been with the brand as long as I've been shopping the brand. So he and I have conversations about Marc Jacobs collections that he was selling in store and that I remember buying. But you can't possibly have that knowledge if you didn't work there, and they can't educate you on everything that ever happened. So you can't expect to walk into a store and have a sales associate have perfect recall of every collection that's ever been released under the brand. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I mean, but in my case, do I want to know what a textile is made from and how it's made from, how the rolled edge of a scarf is made, how the wool composition is made, how the leather is made? I could go on and on and on. Do I want and have a desire to know all that information? Yes. Do I want to go and visit, I know you do too, to visit the factory where we make our pieces to see the craftsmanship that goes into it? Yes, I love all of that. That's why part of the reason I do what I do. And you as a client do as well. You love the craftsmanship of things. So like anything in life, it's only as limited to how much you can learn or how much you can read on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But having said that, if you go to the workshop, and I have been in the workshop and seen them made, it's going to cost you a lot of money because you're going to then have a whole different level of appreciation for the brand. You'll be like, I want all the trunks. I want all the trunks. I want all the exotics, because you then feel like you can really feel how they're made. It's very much an emotional experience to see something being made and the artisan who makes it and how much they love and respect what they do, and you're like, oh well, now I have a whole new appreciation. This is going to be expensive.
Yeah, but we do too. We that's what Louis Vuitton is I've always thought I work in an art store. I don't work in a shop. I feel like I work in the gallery. Like that's how I often take and how I look at my place of work as well. And like art, it's infinite how much you can learn about it too.
Yeah. Dress code and grooming requirements for the brand. How many uniforms do you get? So I know that there are definite requirements. Yes, because he's here tonight and he has a piercing that he would have to move when he worked there.
Yeah, so when I first started working in luxury in 2012, strictly no facial hair, strictly no tattoos shown. Fast forward to 2024, there has been a lot more diversity shown in luxury. Gucci sticks out in my mind that they are welcome to present how they are, despite their gender, how they identify, as long as they look good. And that is Gucci's dress code. Louis Vuitton is a bit more stringent, I think, but in terms of how we are to be in a uniform, we are there as a service. So like any sort of fine dining restaurant, there is a necessity to being able to stand out from the rest of the crowd when you're in a store. It's important to be able to identify who that CA is as well. Yeah.
Yes, I would agree with that, because I went to a Camilla event with a friend a couple of months ago, and everyone who was at the Camilla event wore Camilla, but then also the sales associates who were selling Camilla are also in Camilla, and I couldn't pick out who worked there and who was a guest. So you want to be able to work out who the sales associate is real quick.
Yes.
So how many uniforms do you guys get?
The limit doesn't, I mean, there is, the short answer, standard issue is like once a year, but if I needed more, if for whatever reason I ripped my pants or whatever, of course I can go in another pair.
So they only give you one set of uniforms?
No,
because they dry clean them, don't they?
Of course, but for the most part it's enough to last a full year. So it's you know, three jackets, 5 shirts, 2 shoes, blah blah blah.
And then Louis Vuitton dry clean all of that for you.
Of course.
Which is nice. Yes. What does the progression of roles look like? So do you my understanding is it's not clear cut. So you don't go from floor staff to management, inventory manager. You you need to lead where you're going.
Correct.
And what
Yeah.
you're interested in.
Absolutely. So part of my role is indeed coaching staff as well, and training within the store too. And I'm a big fan of saying there are many roads you can walk down in Louis Vuitton. So if you are just starting as a sales associate, it is up to you as to where your journey will begin and end. Whilst I have a university degree, that is not essential for the role that I have now. And in terms of whether you choose to have a tertiary education versus jumping straight into retail, you can have a very lucrative role depending on how much you are committed in terms of working and how you wish to walk down that road as well. So does that answer the question for you?
It does. So because progression is not one thing for all
not
people.
linear.
So so you might start on the floor as a sales associate, but realize your passion lies in stock management or
Exactly. Yeah.
And obviously some people have to have passion for that because that's the role that is there. So you might have a passion for repairs, which Heath did while he was there. He saw
Great example.
Great passion there, but you have to be a specific person for that role and have a passion for it. So I'm guessing there's always room for movement. It's just whether it's in the area you want to be in.
100%. Like any massive company, like the size of Louis Vuitton is, there is always opportunity to move and diversify your role. Like anything in life, if you ask, there's, particularly in LV, there's a good chance you might get the opportunity for it, I guess, as well.
And I'm guessing it would be easier to move within stores within your country than to stores external to your country.
You can do that too. There is what's called mobility in Louis Vuitton as well. So if I said, hey, I want to go and work in Belgium for 6 months, I could go and do that as well.
Okay.
It's not as well. It would be easy for someone like me to do. I'd love to go and work in Paris. I don't speak French. It's one of the requirements. That's probably a better example. So to work in France, you must be able to speak French in store. I was asked the last time I was there, can you speak French? No. I'm like, and their answer was, hurry up and learn so you can come and work in Paris. But
yes, hurry up and learn to work in Paris. I'll come visit. Perfect.
yes.
So we're all chipping in to get Peter French lessons. All right, here's some easy ones towards the end.
Yes.
So do you have sales quotas?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's a given.
Yes.
And some of these have been answered external to Peter. So is there anything that can be done about cracked canvas? Heath has told us definitively no, use it less. Okay. There is nothing that anybody can do about a cracked canvas. Once it's cracked, appreciate the fact that you had life out of it and it is what it is now.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do a custom made to order exotic design that mimics an older design? No. No.
I wouldn't completely rule that out. If you're having a conversation with your client advisor about that, it never hurts to ask. If you came to me, much like our trunks, we can custom design a trunk. If it was a seasonal bag, it's probably a no. I would almost be certain it would be a no, but like anything in life, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah. I get asked a lot about, can I get this repaired and replaced with treated vachetta instead of raw vachetta? And I know the answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is definitively no. So if your bag, the original bag, has just usual, normal, everyday VVN on it, you cannot have it replaced with treated VVN just because you want it, because you've now created a whole new bag.
Correct.
And Louis Vuitton don't like that.
Yeah.
So the answer is a definitive no there.
No, we will not change the design of the bag. We will replace it like for like, but you can't replace the Vivian leather. This is a treated Vivian leather with a Verni leather in black. It is changing the design. It will not be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you get a hot stamp on a mini agenda? We have been told resoundingly yes by the group. What would you pick, a side trunk in millesime or ostrich?
Ostrich. But you love millesime.
I do love millesime, yes, but I believe for the side trunk, the ostrich would wear better over time. I think the millesime, if you're going to use it, I love the scratches that come with the millesime and the aging, but I am a particular type of person.
Yeah.
So I think the ostrich will wear better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why can't I purchase two of the same bags on the same day?
That would be case per case in country. So it would be dependent perhaps on if you had a history of doing that on your account as well. And it also would be dependent on the foot traffic or the busyness of that store as well. In my store, for the most part, yes, you would be able to buy two of the same bag. But yeah, it would be case per case, and that question is pretty broad in terms of being able to answer that globally, guys, as well.
Yeah. You also have limits on, I know that if I buy over a certain number of items, that somebody's got to sign off on it from above.
Yeah.
And that happens to me as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Rumours are swirling that the mini pochette's is going. Can you provide insight? Now, I will often tell Peter things that he doesn't know about yet. So, and I haven't heard that. Have you heard anything about
No. I mean, there's been bags, the favourite, I think, is something that sticks out.
Yeah.
Our assumption was when the multi-pochette accessoire first came out, that it was the three of the best bags combined into one, and the favourite was phased out. And that was 2019. 2019? Yeah, 2019. Yeah. Now, of course, is the favourite back? Yes. Yeah. So never say never, I suppose, with Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. Will the P9 Speedy come in more colours?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Forevermore.
Yes. I'm very proud that I predicted the Colorama slash colours that will be in the future coming for P9. And maybe that's a good way that you could guesstimate as to what colours might be coming in the future. Oh. Look at seasonal colours that we do in Colorama. There might be Colorama coming again this year as well, and I might have seen the colours already, and I would predict that what would be coming again. Yeah, but who knows? Yeah.
Do you need an original receipt if you want to get a bag repaired? Now, there's been much discussion on this evening, so the answer is, technically speaking, no, but having one certainly expedites the experience and makes it easier, and might possibly give you a better outcome on the other side if you have proof of purchase.
Yes. Yeah.
And I guess and the other conversation was around age of bags. So if you're talking about something that is 20 years old and could, you know, easily have been bought overseas, or you've inherited it, so you might not have proof of purchase. That's a very different story to, this is something that's current now. Why don't you have proof of purchase of it? So I guess it's going to come down to the bag, your relationship with the store often, and like the reasoning behind why you might not have proof of purchase.
Sure. More so, we want to fix your bag. We want to continue to give that love to that bag despite the history of it as well. I personally get so excited to see that rare jewel that I've never seen from 30 years ago from Marc Jacobs or whatever it might be. I want actively, and the company, I think is fair to say, actively want to repair that for you, to continue to give the love to that piece as well.
Yeah. They've fostered a lot of my repairs. Like, so they, certainly Singapore have seen an awful lot of Marc Jacobs in the previous years. And they've been very happy to work with me on those.
Absolutely.
If my bag has glazing issues, can I bring it in, or do I need to provide proof of purchase to do that? So we talked about glazing issues. They need proof of purchase, don't they? Because it could be a matter of a refund.
It's case per case. It depends on what the issue is, but have a conversation with someone in store. Be prepared to be told no. But also, if you are really wanting to have it repaired and there is opportunity to do that, in the most part, Louis Vuitton will do our very best to take care of that repair for you as well.
Yeah. When's the new Murakami collection coming? I know, and I'll make a video about it soon, so hang about. He's not allowed to say anything. And I'll point out that I made several connections in New York while I was there who are more than happy to like send me photos. So unfortunately, Peter, I don't actually need him for this one, but there is a video coming.
I can't approve or deny it, but it's all over the internet already anyway.
Yes, let's just say you all want to be on your toes around New Year's Eve. That's what I'm going to say, not Peter. That's what I'm saying. When you purchase online, does it come from the store or the warehouse? Warehouse. Yeah. And last but not least, what is the best way to pass on recognition of great service by a sales associate?
That's a lovely way to wrap it up. Tell them, of course, if you really want to go above and beyond, you could ask for that respective store director's contact details. Generally, we'll be a bit cagey with giving them out. So by all means, take your client advisor's business card. It will have an email on there as well. You could write an email, and that could be then forwarded to their respective managers, but that sort of thanks goes a long way, especially to someone who's starting out in luxury as a client advisor. It's very, very celebrated in Louis Vuitton, the kind words of clients as well. So don't think it's ignored, especially when I was starting out as a CA, a thanks goes a long, long way.
Yeah. And in a world of QR codes now where we don't necessarily get business cards anymore, just WhatsApp them and go, hey, I'd really love to give you some recognition for the great service you gave me. Can you give me an email address where I could write something? And I'm sure they would be more than happy to provide that because it's good for them to have that. But on that note, I appreciate you always. You're a fabulous sales associate and I am so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
And I tell everybody that all the time. So yes, just tell people, see, Peter's happy. I've told him he's a good sales associate.
I'm so blessed to be in Jeannie's bottle. If only you out there could get to experience it apart from the guide or the tour of this room. But thank you so much for having me. It's been such a joy to have these questions. I hope you've enjoyed listening to them as much as I've been able to chat about them as well.
Yes, we are so appreciative to Peter and his time, and to Miguel and Heath and Eve, who are also here this evening. But yes, Peter got to be the spokesman for this evening. We figured it would be easier than moving people in and out all night.
Yes.
But thank you so much for answering everybody's questions. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, darling. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I've enjoyed having all these fabulous sales associates here in my house this evening. They were all fabulous people and I love them to bits. And I'm most appreciative to Peter, who took it on the chin and said, I will do this. I will just sit here, because the others are a bit like, oh, don't know if I've got the right clothes, and you know, like, oh, I'm a little nervous about this. So we decided we'd do it collectively and then Peter would be spokesman for all of it. But I do have 4 of them here today and I am so appreciative to all of them. Thank you all so much for sending in these questions as well. I'm really appreciative of that. I hope this has been really helpful for everyone, and Peter's open to doing this again. So if it's something that you want to see and you want to ask other questions, he would be more than happy to come back and do this. If you've liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. It means a lot to a content creator when you hit that subscribe button. Please also hit the little bell notification so you know when I upload videos, which is usually twice a week. I'll also throw out my Instagram handle for you so you can follow me over there. I put lots up in real time, lots around my collection and my day-to-day life, so please come follow me over there. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you are having a fabulous day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!